assist you. The team here to support you. And without wasting any other time, I'll just get the team to transfer to Marumo, who will be taking us through, we'll start with taking us through the session for tonight. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Am I audible? Can anybody confirm if they can? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Ele. My name is Marumo Masembula. Firstly, good evening to the people in the room, those online and at the venue as well. As I mentioned, my name is Marumo Masembula. I am part of the professional development portfolio at the AWCA, and I'm also a third-year trainee at Tiger Brands. So last year at this time, I was in you guys' shoes, feeling all the emotions or the anxiety. And first and foremost, I'd just like to congratulate you guys for coming this far or for getting this far. The light at the end of the tunnel is slowly but surely starting to show up. And you've proven to SAICA that you are technically competent because you've passed your ITC. So what is left of you guys is to prove that or execute that you are able to show your technical competence in a professional manner in the workplace environment, solving real workplace issues. You guys have been at this for the longest time, from your first year, all through your articles. And trust me when I say you know more than you think you do. So what we are basically here to help you guys with, or what Endunam is here to do, is just to help you guys to tie up the loose ends. So as part of the UCT program last year, and I think by September, we've wrapped up the board course, and I was wondering what to do with the time or the 2 months that I had left until the exam in September. So I was contemplating on going through the board course material all over again. I was even thinking of doing the previous APC question paper by myself until I stumbled upon one of my contacts on WhatsApp that had posted this Endunamo board course. And I decided to give it a try. And that has been the best decision that I ever made, because this might sound like a cliche, but this program will really ensure that on the 6th, you walk away with that C or that competent once you've completed the exam. So really, you guys need to show up, and when I say show up, I mean engage with the material. When you attend the session, make sure that you would have gone through the task that we are doing on the day, because it doesn't do you any justice for you to just join without having attempted the tasks. So ensure that you I know you have work and all, but at least just ensure that you at least attempt the questions or the task that you'll be doing on the day, so that you're able to mark yourself and ensure that you correct your mistakes. Because it doesn't make sense just attending without having done the tasks beforehand. And for me, one of the challenges that I was facing this time last year was definitely my mind. I was feeling anxious and I was doubting my technical competence. And I'm quite sure that 80% of you guys in this room, or if not all of us, you're also feeling the same. You are anxious, you are doubtful. And what I love again about this program is that it just doesn't only look at your technical, or doesn't help you with the technical and professional etiquette only, but it also ensures that building up to the 6th of December, they deal with how your mindset should be like, how your diet plan will be like. So it's a really well-rounded program that preps you for everything that can happen on the day. And I like what Ella said on the kickoff session, on the open day, sorry. She said, you are definitely going to be anxious on the day, and that is a fact. But what you need to do from today, you need to start working towards what you will do when you feel anxious on the day. And I believe there's a match day session that's coming up within the few days before you write the exam that will really just prep you on how to deal with your mind, how to deal with the anxiety that will kick in when you write the exam on the 6th. And one of the issues that can contribute to your anxiety is not being comfortable with all your modules. So if there's any module that you're not comfortable with, be it ECL in IFRS 9 or ISA 620 or whatever the case may be, if you're not comfortable with any particular module, you still have, I think, 3 weeks and some few days that you can devote some time apart and then make sure that you tackle that module, remind yourself, revise, and make sure that you're at a comfortable level with that particular module. Because trust me, when you walk into the exam on the 6th and you see any question that has to do with a module that you're not comfortable with, you are going to panic, you're going to be anxious, and it's most likely that you will even get wrong other things that you would have been comfortable with. So just make sure that all your modules are sorted and you're at a comfortable level to tackle any question in any particular module that might show up on the day. So there's just a few pointers that I have that will help you when you get the pre-release information on the 1st of December. And excuse me when I look to the side, I'm just reading up what I prepped, or I'm just reading up on the few tactics that had helped me from the day of the pre-release. So number one, when you get your pre-release information, you need to read and look at decisions that the company would have to make during the pre-release period. For example, if you're dealing with a private company and they're mentioning in the pre-release information that they are looking at listing, so you might need to just look at factors around listing and how that will look like from an accounting perspective and from a compliance perspective as well. The other thing that you need to look at are the risks surrounding the industry or the company that you are working with. For example, from an FMCG point of perspective, it's almost inherent that there are litigation risks that we are faced with because of the perishable products that we sell. So it might happen that the food that we produce, when they get to the end user, they're not in the quality that we would have dispatched them at. So we might get lawsuits and litigations arising from that. So you need to look at the risks that are surrounding that particular industry or that particular company that you are dealing with, and also just research how you will mitigate those risks to acceptable levels, or how you help the management of that company to reduce the risks to acceptable levels. The other thing that you might need to look at when you're reading your pre-release is what strategic alternatives the company is looking at. For example, are they looking at raising money? And if they're looking at raising money, are they looking at raising money through debt or through equity? And really, what are the pros and cons surrounding all those two options? The other thing that you need to look at is the financial situation of the company. They might hint you in the pre-release and tell you how the company is performing, or they might not. If they don't do that, that's where your financial ratios come in. You calculate your liquidity, your solvency, all those ratios, and then you're able from those ratios to really see how the company is performing. And this becomes very important because say they ask you what you might do to motivate employees to perform at their peak in the company, and say your answer is, I think we should give the employees bonuses or 13th checks. And that's correct, but not in the context of this company, especially if after calculating your financial ratios, you've seen that, okay, this company is not performing well from a liquidity perspective. They are not very liquid. So if you advise the company to be paying up money, which they don't have, your answer might be correct, but in the context of the case study that you have, that will not get you a C. So context is very, very important when you get the case study, and so your audience as well. So your context and your audience are very important. Check who you are talking to. So if you're engaging with a financial manager who is a CASA, then that tells you that this person is familiar with your IFRSs or with your tax act. So you don't really necessarily need to deep down to the finer details of the standards. But if you're talking to a stakeholder that is not really a qualified chartered accountant, then you know when you're quoting a standard, you might need to go to the finer details of what that standard entails so that they're able to understand. The other issue that you might need to look at from your pre-release information, sometimes they might tell you that your colleagues are debating on the treatment of a particular standard in the financial statements. That should hint you to do more research on that particular subject matter that your colleagues are debating upon. For example, from a tax perspective, they might say your colleagues are debating on how a company would become eligible to use assessed losses in terms of Section 20 of the Tax Act, of the Income Tax Act. So that should be a trigger for you to go look at Section 20, familiarize yourself with it, because there's a possibility they might ask you on what the right treatment will be of the assessed losses, or when the company will be eligible to set off the assessed losses. Most importantly, whatever information you're going to put in your file, or whatever research you are going to put in your file, make sure that you make it your own. Make sure that you're comfortable with it. Make sure that you know wherever each page is sitting at. So if they talk about or they ask about assessed losses, you already know where to look in your file, because it doesn't make sense to put in all the information in the file, but you haven't really engaged with the information and made the information your own. And you're going to get different pegs from different institutions. You can put it in your file, but it will not do you any justice if you put it there just for the sake of having the information. Go through it, make it your own, know where everything sits, because if you just have a big file, but you're not really familiar with what is sitting in that file, you are bound to be anxious on the day because you spend most of your time, or you waste time paging through the pages which you would have used to be answering or tackling questions on the day. So you guys have got this. I trust that you are going to walk out with a C on the 6th of December, and I wish you all the best in your exams, and really just engage with this program. Make sure that whatever task you have to do, as I've mentioned beforehand, before you attend the sessions, make sure that you have attempted it. And if you have any questions, the guys at Endunam are here and they will be able to answer all the questions that you have. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, you guys are free to pop it in the chat, or even unmute yourself if that's okay, Ele, to ask the question. I'm just going through the chat now. Okay, I see a question here. They're asking, apart from joining the workshop, is there anything else you did? Did you end up going through the board course material all over again? I didn't go through the podcast material all over again, but what I did, I identified modules that I was not comfortable with. And then I spent a few days making sure that I refresh myself or have refreshers on the module to ensure that I get to a point where I'm comfortable with all my modules. So that's what I did apart from joining the Endunamo board course. Is there any other question? See, how did you structure your months in November preparations? So what I did, we all have work as well. So for me, November is my year end, so it's pretty much busy during that time. So I leave the office around 8 or 9, and then when I get home, I had a timetable which I used to sort of structure my plan building up to the exam, the final exam. So in that timetable that I had, I split it between the modules that I still needed to visit and do a refresher on, as well as giving time to prepare for the Endunamo or whatever task we would have been discussing on the Endunamo platform on that particular day or in that particular week. So a timetable is very important, especially building up to the first. And I would advise that maybe your timetable will end on the 29 at least, so that you have one day to breathe, which is the 30th, before you receive your pre-release. But just really have a timetable on how I believe you know what you need to be doing. If there's a module that you need to revisit, put it in your plan. If you are fine with all the modules, then you are welcome to visit any question that you'd have gotten from your board course, which you feel like you need to tackle. But at the same time, have enough time to tackle whatever tasks that you will be addressing during the time frame that you would be attending the Edunamo course. How did you deal with self-doubt and anxiety to ensure that you had a winner mindset? As I mentioned, what was causing doubt mostly for myself was that I was not at a comfortable level with certain modules. And what I did, I went back, I addressed all the modules that I was not comfortable with, and I really just put into practice what we were advised by the health. We had a health and mental wellness coach through the Endunamo program, and you'll get to that on the match day mindset. So whatever they are going to advise you guys to do, practice that. And before you get your pre-release information, you have regained all the confidence that you need. And also, I think you can only fix what is in your mind. So if you tell yourself that you are going to pass this exam, you are going to pass it. But if you are very doubtful, then you're most likely to panic on the day. So do whatever you need to do to be at a comfortable level in your modules, and also just reaffirm yourself and tell yourself that you are going to pass the exam, and the rest will follow suit. Ele, I don't know how much time I still have. I see the questions are still flowing through. If it's fine, I'll stay on and I'll just respond to the messages in the text. But if I still have a little bit of time, then I can take 2 more questions if that's fine. Yes.
You can take, I think, five more minutes.
Okay, 5 more minutes. Okay, fine. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this one.
So Maruma, can I ask a question?
Okay, go ahead.
It's Larry. Marumo, I always ask question around time management, right? So if you could share, I mean, that's for me really the struggle of time management. Yes, there was a bit of improvement with the last case study, But how did you work around that, especially on the day? Did you finish, and how did you structure your approach in terms of time management?
So what I did, I obviously before during the process of the board course, the UCT board course that is, you'll be given, or whatever board course really, I think all board courses do the same. You'd be given questions that you'd have to tackle under exam pressure. So I did quite a couple of those questions under exam pressure, under time pressure, so that you are able to mimic what will happen on the day of the exam. Because another thing, it doesn't make sense to do the questions without timing yourself or in the same conditions that you're going to be under during the day of the exam. So I think it will come in handy for you to attempt questions under exam conditions. And also on the day, I think depending on the amount of tasks that you would have, I think they vary between 7 and 9 tasks and in 8 hours. So I think you can really divide all those hours by the amount of tasks that you have on the day and see really how much time you have for each task. Also taking into consideration the reading time and any time that you might need to have a snack or go to the bathroom. So you subtract all those hours, and then the balance of your hours, you will now divide by the amount of tasks that you have on the day. And very important to have a timer so that when you are finished with one task, you move. If you see that your time for a particular task is done and you still want to sit or dwell on that task, you are not doing yourself any favor, because chances are you are not going to finish your exam. So it's difficult to move on, but if the time is done for a particular task, move on. And if you still have some extra time left at the end of the day, you can still be able to go back and address all those issues that you feel you might have left out. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does help. Thank you.
Okay. How were you able to move from a BC to a C? So for me, those that have gone through the UCT podcast, we have this mock exam before you write the final exam and then the sub. So the first results of my board exam, I got a BC. Not even a BC, an NC, sorry. So I was not competent at all. And for me, my challenge was transitioning from ITC to APC. So I was technically competent, but the way I put across, or the way I communicated, was not in a professional manner. I remember the feedback that I got from my markers. There was this question that they had asked, and I think the financial manager had treated a particular line item in the financial statement incorrectly, and they asked us to review or critically analyze. And my explanation or my treatment of that particular line item in the financial statement was spot on. But because I was not able to execute that in a professional manner, that led me to getting the NC. For example, I was bad as to a point where I was like, you so and so and so, this is the incorrect treatment of this in the financial statement, and therefore you are wrong. Think about it. In the normal workplace environment, there is no way you're going to go to your manager and tell them they are wrong. So you need to sit down and find ways of structuring your response in a manner that is professional and in a way that doesn't offend anyone, right? So if you've gotten a BC and NC, go back, review all the comments that you have gotten from your marker, make sure that you fix them. If anything, you shouldn't be getting this, you shouldn't be doing the same mistakes twice. So if you got a mistake somewhere, work on it, review it, make sure that you have comfortable with it so that in the main exam, you don't make that mistake twice. So I hope that answers your question. If there's anyone that wants to unmute and ask a question. Oh, I think now my time is up. Ele, I was given 5 minutes and I think I started taking questions at 6:30. So I believe my 5 minutes is up. I'll stay on the line, guys, and I'll answer all the questions that you have in the chat. Thank you so much, Ele. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Marumo, for that. And we're grateful that you're still going to be on the line to make sure that you still answer some of those questions. So you'll go through them. I think, please don't despair. She's just going to respond on the chat so that we make sure that all your questions which you had has been attended to. But I think as she's doing that, let's just also give Fedi 2 to 5 minutes to make sure that he's prepared to come and take over the session. And we will be back at, now it's 18:37. So 18:40, Fedi says that he wants all his time. I've already eaten 5 minutes of his time. So 18:40 will be back. We just need to just make sure that we sort out that he is able to present and we can kick off. Thank you.